We will go beyond geographical and cultural boundaries to explore how religions influence human lives and how humans in turn shape their spiritual experiences. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, peace and blessings be upon the noble messenger. May Allah's peace, mercy and blessings be upon you. Welcome back, dear viewers, to your program, People and Religions. In this episode, we will discuss the impact of religion on human life. There is no doubt that religion is a necessity in life. Humans need it as much as air, water, and food, and they can't live without it. No nation or human group has ever lived on earth without a life of religion. Was this religion and these idols validated or groundless? Human history proves with undeniable evidence that many civilizations and cities were established without factories, fortresses, or palaces, but no nation or city was ever created without temples or monasteries. And that is the testimony of history. When man was born, he was born with his fair share of religion and religiosity. And if modern life in the 21st century has reached an unprecedented degree of sophistication and progress, providing man with much of his wishes and desires and an abundance of luxury, it has limped its way, tireful and defaced the day it armed itself with science while dismissing faith. We welcome Dr. Alaa Hailat at the outset of this episode and ask him about the role of religion in human life. Is there a distinction between religion and religiosity?
Yes, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, and prayers and peace be upon the most honorable creation and messengers, our Master Mohammed. May Allah bless him and grant him peace in his all-pure family. Allah bless you, Doctor. In this new episode of the Man and Religions program, we focus on the role and influence of religion on humans, but it's difficult to talk about it before distinguishing between religion and religiosity. In your question, you mentioned that there is indeed a real difference between religion and religiosity, and there is a genuine connection between them. Yes, there is a difference in meaning and in some methodological issues, but there is a connection because religiosity is a result of religion. Religion, Doctor, is the set of overarching themes and grand principles that a person believes, which we introduced in the previous episode, mentioning that religion is the set of concepts and beliefs about the world, the deity, the universe, man's destiny after death, as well as their voluntary submission to these conceptions. And given that they entail a behavioral aspect, these concepts and beliefs themselves constitute religion, while their practical and behavioral manifestations are referred to as religiosity. Religiosity, then, is the conversion of the principles and teachings of religion to practical application in real life.
All right.
Or transforming it into a culture and a way of life for a person, a permanent way of life, a method of life. For this reason, we find that our scholars in our previous Islamic heritage knew religion as equivalent to religiosity because it is the outward expression of a person's faith. So they used to say that religion is the way of life of the person who is connected to Allah Almighty. For this reason, we find that there are differences between them. That said, Doctor, among the most notable comparisons between religion and religiosity is that the former is a constant set of major doctrines, while the latter is variable and contingent, changing behaviors and practices. Religiosity varies from person to person, but religion does not. Islam is one.
Religion is invariable.
Religion is invariable.
And religiosity is variable.
Religiosity varies. Judaism, for example, is one religion, while the Jews' understanding of Judaism and the way they apply it varies. This is religiosity, yes. Likewise, the source of religion must either be a revelation from God Almighty, or the source of religion in artificial religions must be humans. But the source of religiosity is always humans. There are several differences, and here, religiosity is what reveals the truth of man's need for religion and shows the effect of religion on him.
It is as if we are saying that we have values and morals. Yes, values are the standards that control human behavior, such as when we say so and so.
Meanwhile, morals are practices and behaviors.
People's practices and behaviors, as well as their religion and religiosity, are stable. Allah's commands and permanent beliefs don't change with time and place. Instead, religiosity changes.
And religiosity changes because it is the proportion of people's affecting or actualizing these principles.
This explains why some people say praise to Allah. I knew Islam before I knew Muslims.
Right, Islam is not the problem.
It is in Muslims, because religiosity sometimes doesn't give a good impression.
And sometimes he even distorts the religion he follows. That's a big problem, actually, so doctor. Allah bless you. Religiosity, as sociologists of religion say, is a multitude of patterns, not one.
Behaviors.
Behaviors. There are studies about this topic. Also, there is the so-called intellectual religiosity, one where the person knows religion onlit from a rational perspective and experience. They are ready to give you many lectures about religion, but they aim not even pray.
Nothing of religion is applied?
Nothing of religion is applied, but he has a lot of knowledge.
Like Orientalists?
Orientalists are a demonstrative example, although of course they are not Muslim, but if they were, they would
But he
know
knows
Islam more than
sometimes
Muslims.
more than Muslims.
But he knows Islam sometimes more than Muslims, but even though he doesn't believe in Islam,
Neither Islam nor religiosity.
or he doesn't apply the pillars and teachings of Islam, cognitive religiosity, then we have enthusiastic emotional religiosity, which is a result of emotion. For example, a person whose relative or dear one or his company died suddenly. He saw how to move from life to death. You find that this person was not religious, but after this event he became religious. Also, a car accident happened, Allah forbid, and so on. This is religiosity resulting from a reaction. Also, there is a spiritual religiosity, which focuses on satisfying the spiritual aspects and neglecting the physical ones. There is also the religiosity of habit, which is one of the most dangerous types of religiosity, because it does not come through conviction and true faith, but rather through habit, custom, tradition, and the imitation of society. One of the most dangerous is aggressive religiosity, which focuses on the antagonistic aspects of religion and always focuses on the position towards the other. All of these lead us to the question of authentic religiosity.
We are disappointed, Doctor, when some people understand religion from their perspective. A person's psychology is often reflected in their attitude to religion. For example, if someone is generally extreme or perfectionistic in their own life, they may exhibit religiosity accordingly. As the Prophet said, may Allah bless and grant him peace. And whoever makes the religion a rigor, it will overpower him. So, follow a middle course in worship.
For this, we always teach our students that religions, especially man-made ones, affect people's behavior. But also, people affect religion, right? Because they can distort and change it.
Change.
Change through religious behavior.
That is why some of those who wish to distort Islam deliberately anticipate the issuance of some actions from Muslims so that they can use them to mislabel Islam, erroneously referring to Islam via the Muslims. Fairness, however, is in referring to the statements of the Quran and Sunnah. If we want to examine Islam, reference should be to its doctrines and principles, not to some Muslims or their actions.
There is a rule, Doctor, that discusses a topic or descriptions of some scholars regarding the meaning of authentic religiosity. They said that authentic religiosity is the religiosity that combines three aspects. Religiosity combines the cognitive aspect, so that a person knows what is meant. What does God Almighty mean? What is meant by Him in this religion? The cognitive aspect is that he knows, if he can know the least, the necessities of religion. Emotional religiosity drives a person's feelings towards this religion, so when he prays while he loves prayer and gives charity. In contrast, he loves to do so. He pays zakat while he loves to pay this zakat, and he does not pay zakat while he is reluctant. So the cognitive or intellectual aspect and the emotional aspect, then the behavioral aspect that adapts to the spirit of religion and the will of Allah Almighty.
This is an elegant distinction. It makes sense to divide religion into such sections. This reminded me of Max Weber, this famous philosopher who...
He is among sociologists of religion.
Yes, and they talked about the reason for Europe's backwardness in the Middle Ages, that they were religious people. And when they ultimately abandoned religion, Europe awakened and arisen. He says today, the most backward people are the Islamic people, and the apparent reason is our commitment to religion. I think this talk is illogical because it is enough that the first word in the Quran is read. That means we cannot measure Islam with the rest of the religions. In our topic on the issue of science, to enlighten the science of Islam in part of science, the truth is that there is no doubt that it gave science and reason a place, so Islam cannot be measured with any religion.
Yes, that's right, Doctor. This brings us to a very important issue and a very important question. Do all religions positively affect religious people?
No, of course.
No, there are religions. True religion has an impact on the religious person, and it must be positive because it helps to improve human life. As we mentioned in the previous episode, Muslim scholars defined religion as a divine decree that drives those with sound minds, by their choice, to righteousness in the present and success in money. The fundamental goal of religion is to reform human life and guide humanity. Historical and man-made religions created by humans may have a negative impact. This means that not every religion has a positive effect on human life. Positive impact and negative impact. The criterion for that is its impact on the individual and society. The content that this religion carries, the beliefs, content, religious teachings it holds, and the acts of worship it has given to humanity. Is the religion that makes a person worship the one Allah Almighty, and that makes a person only associate with Allah Almighty, like the religion that makes a person worship an animal?
Of course, it's different.
This is a human being. This is a religion that wants to elevate humanity, and this religion seeks to bring humanity down. But we can say that it is true regardless. Religiosity is an instinct, and humanity needs it.
Dr. Alaa, we will continue the discussion in this episode after a short break. Dear viewers, a short break, and we will continue with Dr. Alaa Hailat. So stay with us. Dear viewers, welcome back to our episode, The Impact of Religion on Human Life. Dr. Alaa, we really want to continue talking about why and what the human need for religion and religiosity is. Why does a human need religion?
May Allah bless you, Doctor. This is a fundamental question that every human being asks instinctively. Why do I need religion? Especially since this is an issue that even our youth and our generation ask in this era. Sometimes some young people say, "Okay, doctor, so now we have reached an era in which great scientific, civilizational, and technological progress exists. Everything is available to humans, so why does a person need religion?" Perhaps a person needed religion in previous history when he needed material things, needed some improvement in living conditions, or even resorted to religion, as some people say, as if it were a drug in life.
Opiate of the masses?
Opium of the people, as it is said. We do not find that religion is a basic instinctive need for man. It is the criterion for balance in human psychology and the criterion for balance in human life. Man's need. Excuse me, doctor. Man's need for religion is represented in four things. First, religion is a fulfillment of nature, and nature is a fundamental element of the elements upon which Allah created humans. If this element is not satisfied because religion is an innate instinct in the human soul, the balance of the remaining elements will be disturbed. The lack of nature affects the spirit, the mind, and the human soul. For this reason, if the innate needs are not fulfilled, these aspects that make up a human being, each of which has its own needs that a person cannot function without. If these needs are disrupted, the balance of the entire human being is disrupted. Religion fulfills the needs of human nature, and it also satisfies the needs of the soul. I always give an example of the role of the soul in a person's life, as if this soul in a person's life is like a glass ball inside a person's soul. This is just a simile or representation, nothing more and nothing less. It is as if it is the soul of a person. The more polished it is, the more pure white it is, and the more transparent it is. And so, a person sees the function of the soul, that through it the rest of the elements of a person are established in his soul, and through the soul of a person he can see the existence around him in the way that he can see it through spiritual components, as if it is a glass ball or a transparent glass screen that shows the person the surroundings or the environment around him. If this soul is pure and clean, it will be transparent, show the person everything as it really is, and show the person the reality and beauty of things. But if the person lives with sins and major sins, this is the glass ball inside him. This is just a metaphor, nothing more and nothing less. It breaks here, it scratches there. The scratches increase, the fractures increase. So the image it gives to the person, the outside world, or the environment around him becomes distorted. For this reason, this distorted image will affect the human's peace of mind and behavior. What creates this image that the soul gives to the human being?
Religion.
Religion and religious reassuring. For this reason, man needs religion to realize his humanity and move on from the authority of instincts to the authority of faith, the authority of Allah Almighty, and the authority of the soul. Some people find that their instincts control them. They are slaves to their instincts. So what liberates man from the authority of instincts?
Religion.
Islam, or the true religion, did not come to eliminate or suppress human instincts, but instead came to refine
And
them
organizes it.
and organizes it, but to free man from its authority, to have complete control over him in his life, and thus corrupt his life. What frees man from this absolute authority of instincts and makes man move from the world of things to the world of ideas?
As we said, yes.
It is religion. Just so you know, Doctor, I will conclude with this point. Then, after that, I welcome all your questions. God Almighty did not create man in this existence alone, but instead created man within cosmic and natural systems. For man to harmonize within this system and live correctly, he must live according to a correct religious approach. Otherwise, the human system or man's approach to life would conflict with the system of the universe and the system of nature. And here, a kind of contradiction occurs. This contradiction or conflict does not affect nature, it affects man, right?
It is true, Doctor, that some questions rage in the human soul, and neither science nor anything else can answer them except religion, especially existential questions. The fateful question, where did I come from? Why did I come? And where am I going?
Who created me?
Who created me? There are
Questions that humans instinctively ask.
Human can't.
This is part of religion's response to innate needs.
Therefore, man is in fact in need of religion, and religion is a necessity in human life. The further humans distance themselves from religion, the more they will fall
And
into
whenever
misery.
he gets away from himself and his humanity,
But whoever turns away from my remembrance indeed, he will have a depressed life, and we will gather him on the day of resurrection blind. He will say, My Lord, why have you raised me blind while I was once seeing? Allah will say, thus did our signs come to you, and you forgot
so
them?
this day you are forgotten.
Okay, Doctor, we have undoubtedly discussed religion and why people need religion. Now, we want to know what the effect of religion is on an individual's life. What effects result from a person's commitment to religion as an individual and then as a society?
Yes, Allah bless you. As we said, Doctor, the impact of religion on the life of the individual and society is dependent on the teachings of this religion. The effect may be positive or negative.
According to religion, of course.
According to religion. But if we want to talk in general and talk about the true religion and its effect on man, then Doctor, religion is an existential idea. At the same time, atheism is a nihilistic idea because of religion. Religion begins with proof, starting with the concept of proof of the existence of a creator. If the existence of a creator or the existence of Allah Almighty is proven, then the existence of prophets and messengers sent by him must be proven. This is a creator of man. Indeed, if the existence of prophets and messengers is proven, it will be proven after that.
Existence of divine books.
If he proves the existence of divine books that this creator sent down with these prophets and messengers, he will progress in these existential premises. He will prove the existence of the holy books or divine books, the legislation that they included, the morals and values, and the life system that these books created. This will lead to the person proving or trying to discover his existential goals in life. Thus, the person will understand and feel his existence in this life because of religion, and feel or understand the reasons for his existence in this life, Why did it exist? What are the goals for which it existed? Through these existential premises. As for atheism, Doctor, it begins with a nihilistic idea or a nihilistic premise that starts with the absence of a creator, then after that the absence of messengers, prophets or sages, the absence of books, so the absence of legislation, the absence of values and morals, so the absence of goals. If we say that if we remove the goals of human existence, it is as if we remove the existence of human himself. The atheistic idea begins with a nihilistic premise and ends with a nihilistic result, which is the non-existence of man. For this reason, you find that one of the simplest and easiest things for an atheist who has been an atheist for a long time is to commit suicide. Why? Because he reaches a stage where he loses the feeling of his existence and does not know why he even exists.
Okay, Doctor, atheism, as we all know, is divided into two parts. There is scientific atheism that exists in the West as a result of the clash between religion and reason, or distorted religion and reason that created atheism. There is atheism in Arab and Islamic countries, the cause of which is psychological. For example, there is a person in the family who has a religious father and a religious mother. As we said about religion and religiosity, their religiosity is wrong, leading to this person who lives in this family.
He oppresses his son because of religion and so on. This son becomes psychologically
Maybe
weak.
he does not know the usage.
He does not know how to use religion well in his life.
He does not know how to employ religion in the reform of this human. This leads to a state of rejection and hatred of religion, and sometimes even to atheism. But the truth is that when this person returns to his mind and himself, he will discover that he is an atheist, meaning a psychological atheist more than an intellectual atheist. Therefore, if you asked Arab atheists today, most of them would say, "Why are you an atheist?" They have no rational justification, no logical issues with which they can justify their atheism.
Moreover, Doctor, there are studies not only in the Arab world but also in the Western world and even in all parts of the world. Some studies prove that the vast majority of atheists are either psychologically motivated or that they are overly attached to worldly life and its desires and do not believe in the afterlife.
True. Okay, Doctor, let's go to the end of the episode so that we can cover everything related to the effect of religion on human life. What is the impact of religion on the life of society?
Yes, Doctor. Religion has a great effect on society. If it has a positive effect on the life and behavior of the individual, this effect must be reflected in society. Just as man is religious by nature, he is also civil by nature and lives within a society. We can sum up the effect of true religion on society in 5 things. The first one is that religion unifies society's perceptions, making this entire society move forward.
Smooth going?
You believe it is a homogeneous society that follows one methodology, right? Imagine if every family in a society or every neighborhood had a different religion from the other. Sectarian and religious conflicts would prevail among the people of this society. Religion first unifies society's orientations and society's perceptions and visions of Allah, the universe, life, man, and existence in general. Likewise, Dr. Religio occurs in society what we call social density, which is the state in which society is transferred from a state of fluidity to a state of density. According to some sociologists, societies are of 2 types, fluid and dense. Liquid societies are self-contained societies, which may be developed societies where work is ongoing and people go to work. Society is continuing, but the relationships between atoms are not. Let me focus on this expression between the atoms, who are the individuals of this society, and are distant or disjointed relationships. This society is ongoing, but it is fluid. It is like a flowing river. The river and the water are present, but they are not stable. It is flowing.
Like the scum that the Prophet, may Allah bless him, said about it, scum and rubbish like that carried down by a torrent.
This is a fluid society, but when religion enters its life, it binds the atoms, individuals, and families together through correct marriage, social relations, the son knowing the rights of the father and mother, the parents knowing how to justify their responsibility towards their children and the rights of the neighbor.
Organizes their lives.
Kinship ties. It binds the parts of society together or to each other. It leads to society's cohesion and transforms it from a fluid society into a dense society. Also, the truth of religion builds the character of
No
society.
doubt, niece.
Thus, we find that when we examine the character of societies, a principal determinant, or one of the main factors that shapes its unique features, is religion. So, if religion properly cultivates the character of society, turning it from fluidity to consolidation and community, then within its worldview lies the capability to make such a society civilized, and in possession of the means for even further refinement, as was the case on the Islamic community raised by the Prophet, PBUH, in Medina.
Nice, thank you, Dr. Alaa. We have reached the end of our episode, and Allah willing, we will continue in the next episode. Dear viewers, we thank Dr. Alaa Hailat for these wonderful clarifications on the effect of religion on human life. Until we meet in the next episode, peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah will be upon you. Hope you be well. We will go beyond geographical and cultural boundaries to explore how religions influence human lives and how humans in turn shape their spiritual experiences.